The sun shone brightly over the bustling riverside town, casting a warm glow on the wooden docks where excitement filled the air. Shouts and laughter mingled with the sound of rushing water as boats bobbed gently in the river. The scent of fresh fish and baked goods wafted through the streets, drawing in both locals and visitors alike. Gamblers crowded along the dock, their faces painted with eager anticipation. They wore wide-brimmed hats and dusty boots, their pockets heavy with coins ready for gambling. Some leaned on crates piled high with supplies, while others waved their hands animatedly, discussing rumors of gold discoveries upstream. The talk of precious nuggets had gripped the town, sparking wild hopes of fortune that danced like flickering flames in their eyes. As they awaited news from the riverboats, tension crackled in the atmosphere. Whispers of immense wealth filtered through the crowd, each gambler hoping to be the next to strike it rich. Children weaved in and out among the adults, giggling and playing games, blissfully unaware of the high stakes surrounding them. Then, suddenly, the sound of a boat's horn pierced through the chatter. The crowd hushed for a moment, eyes fixed on the approaching vessel. Would it bring news of gold or tales of misfortune? The thrill of uncertainty filled everyone with an electric charge as they held their breath, waiting for answers that could change their lives forever. As the crowd held its breath, a figure emerged from the approaching boat, instantly recognizable to the townsfolk. Captain Jacob Rivers stepped onto the dock, his tall frame silhouetted against the sunlight. With a weathered face and a wide-brimmed hat perched atop his head, he exuded an air of confidence that put everyone at ease. Known for his skillful navigation through the region's treacherous waters, Captain Rivers had earned the respect and admiration of many. With a steady hand, he tied the boat securely to the dock before turning to greet the eager crowd. Whispers spread quickly among the onlookers about his latest journey upriver. Had he found a new vein of gold? His reputation as a daring captain was well-deserved. Tales of his adventures filled countless conversations at taverns and around evening fires. He had braved storms, swift currents, and hidden rocks that would scare most men away. As he walked among the gamblers and townsfolk, they shared their excitement and hopes, seeking any hint of news about gold finds. Captain Rivers listened attentively, his eyes twinkling with mischief as he absorbed their chatter. Yet beneath his calm demeanor lay a fierce determination. He knew that slow waters could hide many dangers. With a charismatic smile, he prepared to share his stories from upstream, ready to captivate the crowd once more. Little did he know that this day would soon take an unexpected turn and lead him into an urgent rescue mission that would test both his courage and character. As the crowd buzzed with excitement, a figure emerged from the boat, clutching a leather-bound ledger. This was Stephen, the gold clerk, known for his meticulous record-keeping of all gold shipments in and out of the town. He was a slight man with glasses perched on his nose and a serious expression that often masked his youthful age. His role was crucial. He documented every nugget mined and every transaction made, ensuring that nothing slipped through the cracks in this bustling gold rush. Stephen stood near the edge of the dock, trying to calm the eager gamblers who surrounded him. They crowded closer, demanding information about recent gold finds and clamoring for their chance to get rich. The noise grew louder, drowning out his attempts to bring order to the chaos. He felt the weight of their expectations pressing down on him as he struggled to keep track of every question and request. With beads of sweat forming on his forehead, Stephen's anxiety mounted. He had spent long hours poring over numbers and records, and today's frenzy was taking a toll. Suddenly, with one last frantic glance at the demanding crowd, he stumbled backward, his vision blurring. The last thing he remembered was the sound of gasps from those around him before everything went dark. As he collapsed to the ground, panic rippled through the crowd. They surged forward, their earlier excitement quickly turning to concern as they realized that something had gone terribly wrong. As the crowd gathered around Stephen, the atmosphere shifted from excitement to palpable anxiety. The gamblers pressed closer, their faces a mix of desperation and greed. Some shouted for answers, while others waved crumpled bills in the air, desperate to be the first to learn about any new gold discoveries. The urge to get rich quick was a fire that burned brightly in their eyes, driving them to the brink of chaos. "Come on! We need to know if there's any gold left," one man yelled, his voice breaking through the noise. Another gambler, his hands trembling with anticipation, leaned so far forward that he nearly toppled into the group. Whispers of large nugget finds had spread like wildfire, and each person in the crowd believed they could strike it rich if only they had the right information. The tension mounted as more townsfolk joined the frenzy, pushing against one another in their eagerness. It was as if a dam had broken, every moment without news made them more frantic. The dock creaked under the weight of bodies pressing together, and a few gamblers exchanged anxious glances, wondering if they might miss out on life-changing wealth. Amidst this uproar, concern for Stephen faded as adrenaline took hold of their thoughts. They were no longer just waiting for news, they were ready to pounce on any opportunity that came their way. And then, with Stephen's collapse still fresh in their minds, panic began to seep back into the crowd as they realized they needed answers now more than ever. Amidst the chaos of the crowd, Captain Jacob Rivers noticed the commotion surrounding Stephen. The anxious faces of the gamblers, once full of greed and anticipation, were now painted with concern. Without a second thought, the captain pushed through the mass of people, his heart racing as he approached the fainted clerk lying on the dock. As he reached Stephen's side, Captain Rivers quickly assessed the situation. He could see that Stephen was pale and unresponsive, his ledger still clutched tightly in his hand. The captain knelt beside him, instinctively checking for any signs of life. With a firm but gentle touch, he shook Stephen's shoulder and called out his name. "Stephen! Can you hear me?" The crowd fell silent in that moment, all eyes fixed on the captain and the clerk. Jacob's voice was calm yet urgent, cutting through the tension like a knife. He knew that time was of the essence. If they didn't act swiftly, there could be dire consequences for Stephen. After a few tense moments, Stephen stirred slightly but remained disoriented. The captain quickly decided to lift him gently off the ground. With strong arms and a determined spirit, he hoisted Stephen onto his shoulder. "Clear a path," he shouted to the crowd, his commanding presence demanding respect. The gamblers stepped aside as Captain Rivers carried the unconscious clerk toward a nearby tavern where they could tend to him properly. In that instant, bravery surged within him, fueled by a deep sense of responsibility not just for Stephen but for everyone who depended on their community's gold rush dreams. As Captain Rivers carried Stephen away, the crowd's reactions began to unfold in contrasting ways. Some townsfolk instinctively rushed forward, urgency in their eyes, ready to assist the captain. A local doctor pushed through, his medical bag swinging at his side, while a few strong hands helped steady Stephen's limp form as they made their way toward safety. "Get some water," shouted another concerned bystander, while others sought to clear debris from the tavern's entrance in anticipation of the clerk's arrival. However, not everyone was focused on the emergency at hand. Many gamblers remained fixated on their own desires for riches, their chatter barely subdued by the unfolding drama. A group of men huddled together, still discussing potential gold finds as if nothing had happened. "Did you hear about the nuggets near River Bend?" one man whispered excitedly to another, completely ignoring the commotion around them. Their greed seemed unshaken by the medical emergency, it was as if fortune had blinded them to everything else. The tension in the air was palpable as some townsfolk attempted to refocus the crowd's attention. "Let's help him," a voice called out amidst the gambling chatter, but it was drowned out by others who continued to speculate on gold shipments and future fortunes. Their short-sightedness highlighted a stark divide in the community, those who cared for their fellow townspeople and those whose eyes were solely set on profit. The atmosphere shifted, hinting at deeper themes of human nature amidst a crisis, where priorities lay when faced with life and death. Inside the tavern, dimly lit yet filled with anxious energy, Stephen slowly regained consciousness. The cool air brushed against his face as he blinked his eyes open, struggling to focus on the faces surrounding him. Captain Rivers knelt beside him, relief flooding his expression as he saw the clerk awaken. "Stephen! You're safe," the captain said softly, his voice laced with concern. "What happened?" Taking a deep breath, Stephen's mind raced as fragments of his earlier panic returned. He felt dizzy but was determined to speak. "Gold. "I have news about the gold finds," he murmured, trying to push through the haze clouding his thoughts. The room fell silent as everyone leaned in closer, hanging on to his words. "Upstream near Rocky Ridge," he continued, his voice gaining strength. "I witnessed nuggets being extracted, huge ones. There's still plenty left." The excitement in the room bubbled up like boiling water, a thrill shooting through the crowd as they processed his revelation. Gasps and murmurs erupted among the gamblers, who exchanged eager glances and whispered fervently about seizing this new opportunity. "Did you hear that? We have to go now," one man exclaimed, already plotting his next move. As Stephen regained more clarity, he realized that his fainting spell had shifted the focus back to wealth and riches. While gratitude for the captain's aid washed over him, it was quickly overshadowed by the frenzy ignited by his words, a frenzy that would push many into action, ready to seize their chance at fortune once more. As the excitement in the tavern reached a fever pitch, Captain Jacob Rivers stood tall, a steady presence amidst the chaos. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, but it was clear that they needed guidance to channel their energy productively. With a commanding yet reassuring voice, he raised his hands to quiet the room. "Listen up, everyone." His call cut through the noise, drawing the attention of both gamblers and townsfolk alike. "Stephen has given us valuable information," he continued, his tone firm but encouraging. "But we need to act wisely if we're going to take advantage of this discovery. Let's not forget that a rush for gold can lead to danger if we don't work together." The room fell silent as they absorbed his words. In that moment, Captain Rivers transformed from a rescuer into a leader, embodying the spirit of their community. He laid out a plan, urging the townsfolk to gather supplies and organize groups to scout for nuggets safely. "We'll split into teams," he instructed. "Those who know the river best should lead the way." His calm demeanor inspired confidence, and soon people were nodding in agreement and murmuring support. The gamblers' earlier frenzy was replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. They respected him not just for saving Stephen but for rallying them together in a time of uncertainty. Captain Rivers knew that true heroism wasn't just about bravery, it was also about guiding others toward hope and action, especially in moments when fear could easily take over. As the crowd began to settle under Captain Rivers' leadership, a sense of unity emerged, yet the undercurrents of tension were still palpable. The news of gold finds had stirred ambition in the hearts of the gamblers, igniting a fierce desire to claim their share of fortune. While some townsfolk worked together to gather supplies and organize into teams, others were clearly restless, their gazes darting toward the door as if waiting for the signal to rush out. "Let's move quickly," shouted one eager gambler, his voice tinged with impatience. "The longer we wait, the more gold slips through our fingers." His words sparked murmurs of agreement from the crowd, reminding everyone of the urgency that accompanied such a discovery. Despite Captain Rivers' attempts to instill order, the excitement made it difficult for many to remain calm. A few individuals began to argue about who should lead which team and where they should go first. "I know the river best, I should be in charge," one man insisted, while another countered, "but I've got the maps." Realizing that conflicts could undermine their efforts and lead to chaos once again, Rivers stepped forward. "We need to work together if we're going to be successful," he reminded them firmly. "Let's use our strengths collectively rather than competing against each other. The gold will still be there if we approach this as a team." With his steady voice cutting through the rising tensions, Captain Rivers redirected their focus back to collaboration. Gradually, the disputes faded as new plans formed, although the thrill of gold remained a potent force driving their actions. In this moment, hope mingled with competition as they prepared to embark on their quest together. In the aftermath of the thrilling events, the riverside town found itself forever changed. Captain Jacob Rivers emerged as more than just a skilled navigator, he had become a symbol of bravery and leadership. His quick actions not only saved Stephen but also united the community in a time of crisis. The townsfolk now viewed him with newfound respect, recognizing his ability to guide them through both emergencies and opportunities alike. Stephen, once seen merely as the gold clerk, gained a deeper appreciation within the community as well. His moment of vulnerability during the frantic crowd revealed the pressures he faced in his role. With his revelation about gold finds, he transformed from a timid figure into a beacon of hope for aspiring miners. The townsfolk began to understand that behind every record of wealth lay a person who bore the burden of that information. However, the event also served as a reminder of the greed that loomed over their ambitions. While many were inspired by teamwork and collaboration, whispers of competition and desire for wealth lingered in the air. The thrill of gold could easily lead to chaos if not tempered by unity and shared purpose. As they prepared to embark on their quest for gold, the community reflected on these lessons. Bravery and teamwork could forge stronger bonds, while unchecked greed could tear them apart. The balance between ambition and compassion would shape their journey ahead, guiding them toward not only riches but also a stronger sense of belonging within their vibrant riverside town.